Hey everybody, this is Molly McCord and thank you for joining me as we take a look at the March 6th, 2019 Pisces New Moon. Now this new moon is exact at 8:03 a.m. That is Pacific time, so please make sure and adjust for your time zone and location on the planet. So this new moon is especially potent because it has the energy signature of new all over it, while being in the energy of Pisces. Now, Pisces is the last astrological sign, and it is about endings, release, letting go, and completion. So we have a new moon that's supporting you in what you need to let go of at a really deep level. And it's been what you've been feeling and gathering for the past year, especially. So the sun and the moon are conjunct at 15 degrees of Pisces. They meet up, they give each other a hug and a smooch, and they are happy to connect, to begin a new cycle together. There's always an initiation with every new moon, but there's also a closing as well. So this is a sense of coming back to what matters now. What are the priorities of right now, of being in the moment, of being in the presence of your own energy? And not only is it our human energies here of the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine that are meeting up, but they're both conjunct Neptune at 16 degrees of Pisces, which brings in a bigger energy. Neptune is associated with spiritual will, divine energies, what you are healing and completing at the bigger level of your energy field. It is beyond the human realms. Neptune is associated with our spiritual growth and what we're learning in understanding about our human selves on a spiritual journey. So when the sun and the moon meet up with Neptune, there's a surrender of human will to spiritual will. We surrender the lower aspects of our egos that are no longer needed. We surrender our fears. We surrender our victim energy, or where we have felt powerless, and we hand it over to Neptune, which reminds us of our innate power, our connection to all that is, the sense that you can never be disconnected. And if you are, that's just part of the illusion. That's the illusion of what is temporary. And this Pisces energy is truly about what is eternal. What is all energy connected to? What outlasts our human journey and our physical experiences? And it's really about how everything returns to pure energy. And the highest vibrating energy is unconditional love. So at this new moon, you're being asked to return to a new sense of unconditional love for yourself, because we can be very focused on the external world, on relationships, events, situations, but we have to come back to taking care of ourselves. Pisces is a private energy. It's listening, it's allowing, it's receiving. And are you honoring these needs in yourself? Are you giving yourself what you need for self-care, especially spiritual self-care? Now, this energy can make us tired. You can feel overwhelmed or really hungry. You can feel a lot of emotions because it's all about this cleansing and release of Pisces that's completing a cycle. And not only do we have the sun and the moon conjunct Pisces, or conjunct Neptune in Pisces, but we have Mercury at 29 degrees of Pisces stationing retrograde. And Mercury is going to go back to 16 degrees of Pisces during the retrograde until March 27th. So this Mercury is surrendering his thoughts, which is hard for Mercury because he's a thinker and he likes logic and details and specifics. But all of that created a story in his head. And Mercury is now exactly where Chiron was. So the healing work you've been moving through as Chiron was in Pisces, right? And now Chiron is brand new in Aries at 0 degrees of Aries. But this energy is working with the Chiron healing story so that you can understand something differently, but also just release where you've been spinning in your head, because Mercury will overthink things. And here in Pisces, this retrograde is letting things go, is just letting it be over. Free yourself. Let it be complete. Release yourself from the story. Don't focus on the details or the particulars or who said what or who did that or who said and didn't do and la la la. We all have that, right? That's Mercury telling us how we think, what to think, how we take in information and details, how we take in a perspective. And in Pisces, you let it go and you free it up, especially as Mercury makes conjunctions to Neptune. And you say, okay, I'm going to end some soul contracts here. I'm going to end this lesson. I'm going to surrender it. I'm going to allow it to dissolve or melt or rise above it. I'm going to step into a higher vantage point that my higher self carries. And I'm going to ask myself, what was I learning at a soul level? And what did Chiron show me that I'm ready to understand about the whole story and release it? And you'll know that it's accurate because every answer will bring you back to unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, and kindness. And these are the higher expressions of the Pisces energy. So a lot of Pisces going on here with this new moon, and it could be made clear to you what it is you're meant to release, because frankly, it's going to be just too heavy to carry. It's going to be too much to take forward, and you don't need it anyways. So this new moon is asking you to surrender and release. And chances are you know exactly what it is because it's what you've been working on. It's what you've already been aware of. And there's a new energy coming in to support that release. And it also opens up, I'm seeing really clearly here, there's also an opening with this new moon to more spiritual gifts, such as any of the clairs, claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairsentience, anything with channeling, intuition, psychic development. Really great time throughout all of March to develop these skills in yourself, whether that's through a course or a class or a program, or simply reading some really good books that help you understand your abilities. This is a really good time for all of those developments. So not only do we have the sun and the moon conjunct Neptune, an outer planet that's helping our soul's energy evolve in a lifetime, but this energy is being strengthened by Saturn at 18 degrees of Capricorn, providing strength, perspective, and understanding of what you did commit to, and to feel powerful in that, to feel that there's a set purpose to it all. Saturn in Capricorn brings in our sense of purpose and our sense of mastery over these lessons. It's an earth sign that allows you to be in connection to the physical world, as all earth signs do. But in Capricorn, it's through real world experiences. You had to go through some things to get it. You had to really have these real world experiences, situations to get the higher meaning. And this also comes into play with Pluto at 22 degrees of Capricorn. It's not quite a sextile, at least typically Pluto has an orb of 2 or 3 degrees. So it's outside that typical orb to make an exact sextile. But Saturn is moving towards Pluto, and you know how things have been crumbling, right? They've been revealed. They've been showing their secrets and showing what matters. And I feel like I'm just being drawn to this Pluto because 22 degrees is a master number. And over here, Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Sag, and that's also a master number. And I guess it just feels like it all plays into this mastery, this spiritual mastery of things you had to experience and know to get it. Because there's also graduation energy here. And I feel like this is where you recognize yourself. Saturn in Capricorn is recognition of what you've earned, you know, the miles that have been put on the car, so to speak. And that's where this is important to see, that there's something really, I'm just feeling like, again, the graduation energy around this new moon. So recognize it in yourself. Really recognize it. Now, this Jupiter at 22 degrees of Sag is making a square to the new moon and Neptune. And Mercury will travel back and make a square to this Jupiter in Sag as well. So Jupiter in Sag is where we have our sense of self from experiences, from knowledge, from what we've learned. And we have a desire for knowledge and to keep learning and keep expanding. And we have a sense of what is right and wrong. Our beliefs, right, are formed here. And so what this is showing you is that sometimes when we are, it's like I'm getting the image of learning the different levels of beliefs. We elevate ourselves, okay? And we say, oh, when I was younger, I believed this. And when I was in my teenage years, I believed this. And when I was in my 20s, I believed this. And if you stay open to the learning, you'll keep expanding. But if you get locked in at an egoic level to what you know is as one type of belief, if it doesn't include unconditional love for other people and what they're experiencing and what they're going through, then the belief system isn't of the highest caliber. Because Jupiter in Sag can be really full of itself and opinionated and a know-it-all. Okay, these are the lower expressions. And we are living in a time of opening up to bigger understandings of everybody on a spiritual journey, a spiritual path. And if we can tame the ego or tame any righteousness or tame what we believe is right for others, we'll tap into more of this Pisces energy that is accepting and kind. But if we go too far here, and the square can make things really uncomfortable. The square can be that point of, it can be contentious, and it can be arguments about right or wrong, good or bad, yes or no, I'm right, you're wrong. And we've lived through that in history. And yes, we still have that in our world, but we have support to keep evolving ourselves individually and to stay open to what we don't know and to stay open to it in a way that's kind. So this is like the ego self and the spiritual self can feel like they're at odds because yes, you know things about your own experience and your own background and what you've been through. But the energy here is really on the Pisces, which is the surrendering the ego to stay open and to remember that I'm just feeling like that spirit, God, source loves everyone. That's one spiritual belief. So is that part of your spiritual belief? That's for you to determine. But there's just a lot of spiritual energy here in this new moon because that's how we can really complete things and let it go and let it be okay and free ourselves. Now, I mentioned how there's a lot of new energy in this new moon. And I briefly touched on Chiron now at 0 degrees of Aries, where it will stay until 2027. So this is a brand new starting point, new here. Chiron in Aries, it's where the new sense of who you are has arrived and is gathering energy and strength. There is confidence building in Chiron in Aries, but it starts with questions. And the first question is typically, who am I now? And this could be something that you're feeling after everything you've been through or the soul contracts that are ending. Who am I now? And it's a new discovery. A new journey gets underway as Chiron now moves through Aries and asks you to gather confidence in this new sense of self. And not only is that a new energy, but the other new energy is Uranus at literally 0 degrees of Taurus and 0 minutes at this new moon. Uranus just moved into Taurus, where it will stay for the next number of years. So again, another outer planet changing signs after a retrograde that started last year. And now it's staying in Taurus. So we have these two planets that are now firmly rooted in their next energy experience. They're moving through. And this is how we have evolved. We're on to new tasks, new assignments, new work, and you won't miss it because of how the planets change energies and we see something, typically in the outer world, and then we feel it within ourselves. This Uranus in Taurus is making us aware of our new values, what matters to us now, what has meaning, where there's no going back, but where we're questioning what we thought was important and arriving at new answers. And this energy is basically squaring Venus at 5 degrees of Aquarius. And she's all about our friends, our tribes, what we like in the world, like where we feel our energy rise. Venus in Aquarius is about making connections in the bigger world based on what matters to her. And she's really clear on her values when she's in Aquarius, which is usually on people. And this energy of Uranus in Taurus is really personal. So there could be a sense of, well, this is a breakup energy, actually, because of how Uranus breaks things up. Oh, sorry, I drew the wrong line. But I'm going to get to Mars in a second. So here's the correct line of Uranus squaring Venus, which is, in the external world, can be a breakup of relationships or a shakeup. But internally, it's because, again, what you value has changed, and that can show up in the people that you want to spend time with or relate to. And then further emphasizing that point is how Venus, as she moves through Aquarius here, will make a square to Mars, which is also an adjusting energy, adjusting relationships, adjusting what you want and what you need. And so there's a sense here of really coming back to who are you now, and can you keep trusting? I just feel like there's a strong energy of the trusting, releasing, letting people go, letting situations go, letting events go, letting parts of your life go, because this Pisces energy is so strong that it's dominant at this new moon, and it ripples out and affects these other parts of our being because of how we've shifted and how we've changed. And letting people go can mean permanently or temporarily. It's letting an aspect of your own energy field go. It's letting an aspect of yourself surrender so that you can see something new more clearly, and you can have room for this new area of your life that's going to be forming. So again, a lot of new in this new moon, and it can ripple out into relationships, conversations, people. But you know, this Mars is sextiling the new moon, which adds in strength and confidence, especially Mars in Taurus. Can be a really hard worker, very perseverant, have a lot of perseverance, stick with something, get the job done. It moves slow and steady though, slow and steady. And it's allowing you to gain your footing. This feels really strong. This feels really strong. And then, of course, this Mars is going to be to Saturn. So you see how there's themes emerging here around it's okay to let something be done and complete, because new aspects of yourself are gaining momentum and energy to be stronger. And you have to honor who you are now through what you've experienced, what you've been through. And it will connect you with the very next, I'm seeing like points on the map. And I guess I just feel like there's energy here to trust it and trust it and trust it, to not overthink it. And we're coming up to a powerful full moon equinox on March 20th and 21st. It's a Libra full moon. So all of March has this sense of new parts of ourselves coming in because of the room we've allowed, because of the space that's been cleared out. And I just feel like it's really strong. I just feel like there's a real strength here at this new moon. Even though Mercury is retrograde, that's good. I always love Mercury retrograde because it allows us to slow down and to really be more conscious and aware. So I feel like we're gathering some really good energy. It's very strengthening, it's freeing, it's clearing, and this beautiful new chapter, like these new points on the map, are going to be clearer too. So this is a beautiful new moon to connect with your higher self, your bigger life dreams that you're making, or at least get in contact with what those would be, the potentials of those, to ground it, to make it clear, to make it real. And there's support here. There's just support for the new energies coming in. It's really quite lovely overall. So I hope that supports you and gives you some messages that will resonate, or some insight into what might be happening in your life or on your journey. And remember, every new moon is where you find the point in your natal chart where the sun and the moon meet up. So you're looking at where 15 degrees of Pisces is in your chart. That's where this new energy is coming in. Whatever house it's in is the area of life or the environment where the new moon is being activated for you. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me in this teaching video. And I have a podcast twice a week that's uploaded here to YouTube. And I hope that also gives you insights into the current energies and what's unfolding. Thank you for your subscribes, likes, and comments. And I'll be back soon with another video for you.